your site living. Set your file permissions. Now I put something in here with the Windows 2000 Server 2003. With the ASP.NET Worker process, when you use the permissions, you got to give modified permissions to your entire site in order for it to work correctly. With the Windows Server 2003, you have to use the network service account, and in XP, you have to use your ASP.NET account. Okay, so if you're doing it on your development machine and things aren't working right, and you get some sort of permissions errors, that's probably where you're going to look. All right. Something I've seen happen, just as an FYI, if people don't uncheck the inherit permissions from parent when you're doing permissions, when you reboot your machine or some other service runs, you will end up having your site permissions all reassigned again to whatever that parent folder is. So if their parent folder didn't have an ASP.NET or a network service account, your site's not going to work anymore. Okay.
Can you install this on? Does it have to be 2003 server? Or?
No, that was just an FYI. It can be Windows Server 2000. You can even run an XP or NT if you want. But
does it work on the $10 a month shared servers?
Absolutely. Any ASP.NET host that has the ASP.NET, well, the current version is version 4.84. All right, they're about to come up with 4.90. Any web host that has Windows server, so it doesn't matter if it's shared or dedicated, and you have to have SQL. Well, you don't have to have SQL Server because you can use the Express edition, right? Which is automatically part of the app data folder in .NET.NUKE. I always run with the server. Just really no difference. You can run with either one.
If I wanted to create a test site, a local server, could I use Vista Business?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't. With Vista, is it network service in that one?
I think it's network service.
Right,
Okay, I wasn't sure. I don't run with Vista.
Yeah,
Not yet. I'll be assimilated soon.
You're fortunate.
That's why.
I have an existing website out there.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is I can bring this down, get everything set up the way I want locally, then make sure that my web host provider is ready, and over a weekend I can actually flip the old one out, flip the new one in, and it's that simple once I know what setups I need?
Technically, yes. Were you in the last session?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you looked like you were one of the ones in the last session. Technically, yes. Sometimes there's little caveats with. If you're moving it out for the first time, I would say yes, absolutely, you can do it every time. I wouldn't use that. I would be very careful about using it as a deployment process. Because some people like to have a staging and then deployment. You can do that as well, but there's some things you have to be aware of before you do that.
Well,
now,
the old website is simply front page.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about is if I take the old website and just simply delete everything that's out there,
mm-hmm.
and then drop everything in from my testing area, it should basically come up as long as the web hosting is providing all the right connections?
Exactly, yes. There's two things you want to make sure of. One is your SQL server, but if you're using Express, you're fine. The other thing is making sure there's a setting for your portal alias, and that basically tells .NET.NUKE what the URL is that it will respond to. Okay? If you don't change that, you're going to be very confused for a long time. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So file permissions, create your database if you're not running with Express. Then set up IIS. Tell IIS where your site is. Right. And then view your site. There's once you view your site, it takes you through a install wizard, which is the coolest thing ever. That takes out so many headaches that we used to have to run into with .NET.NUKE, because this is really 3 steps, but in the 3 steps you could uncheck the wrong thing or not check the right thing, and next thing you know, you run your site, you're like, oh crap, gotta start over. And it's not a huge deal, but you have to do it over. All right, so we're going to the demo, unless anybody has any more questions. All right, so we're going to install .NET.NUKE. So basically, I already have downloaded right here .NET.NUKE 4.84. Okay, so I downloaded that from the website. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up my archive. Oh, and FYI, before I start this real quick, .NET.NUKE downloads do come with something called a starter kit. Anybody familiar with the starter kits? Basically, the starter kits come with these templates that work inside your Visual Studio, and you can do some of this automated through Visual Studio. Okay, in a few clicks, you have a local website running immediately. All right. I see that always done in the demos. I don't particularly like that method. I like having control over it.
Will it work in Visual Studio Express?
Yes. In fact, I do all my module development in Visual Studio Express. I'm about to switch off of that though, because I just want everything in one little handy solution. But you can't. I do most of my stuff in Express. So I'm going to just drop everything over. I'll just take a moment.
While that's going,
Yes. Yeah.
would you say that the quality of .NETNuke in general is better than some of the PHP alternatives to it?
In general, yes, absolutely, 100%. I would say that. I think the one that comes closest is Drupal, but everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. I would say though, by far, .NETNuke has the greatest strengths, greatest number of strengths. I don't want to badmouth any project. Drupal's just fine. People run with it and do great things with it. They have an active community as well. I wouldn't use it.
I've been using Joomla, and it seems like there's a lot of low quality modules out there. People just throw stuff out that doesn't really work.
Yeah, that's one of the weaknesses. One of the things that's inherent to Microsoft development is the business model. Everybody wants to make a business model after what we're doing. So when people start doing things like modules, they take that seriously. So you're going to have a lot of very quality modules out there. Are there bad ones out there? Absolutely. So things that people do usually before buying a module, and what you should do, is go out the forums. Say, hey, this is what I need to do. I've seen this module. What are you using? And you'll get feedback immediately. There's a lot of really good vendors out there, a lot of very good support members from the community. All right, so I just dropped all those files in there. All right, nothing super crazy. And I'm going to go to my IIS. I'm going to give a new virtual directory. So I'm going to call this Jax Code. What do I call it? No, I'm going to call it Jax Team. All right. I'm going into my directory. Oops. Yeah, that's right. All right, there's my directory. Click OK. All right, next, make sure you choose Execute here. If you don't choose Execute, .NETNuke will not work. All right. And then finish. Now, real quick, did anybody recognize me missing a step? Didn't really miss it. I can do it right now, but I didn't do the permissions on this folder. All right. Let me make sure we do that. So I'm going to go to security, and fortunately, I've already put the permissions in there. All right. Another thing I didn't mention is make sure your iUser account is on there, just in case you're running out of some place other than where your normal website files are running. And the iUser account does not need modified permissions; it just needs regular read permissions, read and execute. All right. Just in case, I made sure I went through all the folder files again and did the permissions. All right, so now I'm going to go create a database. So I'm just in my regular SQL Server Management Studio environment. This doesn't usually take that long.
And you don't have to do that. You can just use
Exactly.
the app data database.
So if you just want to use SQL Express, then you don't have to do anything basically. It just works.
As far as this is concerned, exactly. There's the default connection strings in the web config, if you were to look at it, are for the Express databases. I always do it this way, and I never see this presented in a session, so this is the way I'm just going to do it for y'all. But I'll show you the web config in a moment. All right, so it's in there. Now I need to make sure I have a user assigned to that, so that way the web config knows who to point to. So I'm going to just go into my security, and I have a highly secure local user called web. And the password is not web, I swear. So I'm going to go in here and make sure my web user can get to it. All right. And DB owner is important, because there's when you do upgrades or some modules that'll do certain things, there'll be it'll be necessary to sometimes change the schema of things, and usually only DBO can do that depending on how your setup is.